Thanks, Marianne. And hello, everyone. I'm Amber Robles, and I am the Offering Management Branch Chief with GSA Fleet. And we're excited that you're able to join us today for the first of the FY25 additional leased vehicle request and approval process training. Joining me today to present are Chris Winchell and Simeon Pogosian. And as Marianne mentioned, as we go through the overview of the new process and system, as well as a live demo, if you have any questions, you can type them into the Q&A box and we'll try to keep up with them. We may also mark a few to answer out loud, and we will allow some extra time at the end for that as well. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Chris, and he's going to go over the agenda and get us started.
All right, thank you, Amber. So today's agenda, we'll be going over the additional leased vehicle request, new module that we're releasing in GSAFleet.gov, as well as some important reminders. Then Simeon will be giving us a demonstration of the process through GSAFleet.gov. Then we'll go over some helpful resources and have time at the end for some live Q&A. As Amber mentioned, you can also use the Q&A to submit your questions as we go up throughout this process, and we'll try to get those answered and covered for you. So an overview of the additional leased vehicle process. So those of you that are familiar or had used the CAM process in GSA Fleet drive-through in the past, you will notice that a lot of things are similar or carried over in how we did things in the old system. So in GSAFleet.gov, requests can be input at any level. So that means that they can be inputted by the local customer fleet manager, by a bureau fleet manager, or by an agency fleet manager. There are multiple levels of approval for requests. Those hierarchies for approval are set up by the agencies and dictated by the agencies. Currently, we set them up as administrators in GSA, but in the future, we hope to have that option for agencies to manage and set up their approvers themselves within GSAFleet.gov. The hierarchy will be the same as was utilized for the replacement vehicles. So it's the same hierarchy that covers both replacement vehicles and additional vehicles. Users will have the ability to view the agency guidance for vehicle selections directly within GSAFleet.gov. Simeon will demonstrate where that is within the demo and how to view that, the documents that have been uploaded for your agency. Users will also be able to select their vehicle type and SIN and request options and colors for that vehicle. They'll also be able to add comments and upload documentation. So that documentation that may be related to that vehicle request, internal requirements from your agency, such as vehicle justifications or other documents might be associated. Requests can be returned for changes back to the local level to make any changes, such as changing options, changing SIN selections, or anything else. And there's also a convenient search feature with a lot of filters that'll be able to utilize to find requests that you have submitted or requests that are at various different levels, as well as the ability to export a listing of additional vehicle requests into an Excel file. As a reminder, requests are not guaranteed. They are requests, so they're not actual requisitions or orders being placed for a vehicle. They're requests that have to be approved by your agency. And then GSA has to assign purchase funding to purchase that vehicle. And then at that point, the vehicle will either be filled by existing inventory that GSA has from early turn-ins whenever possible, or the FSR, Fleet Service Representative, will create a requisition for that additional vehicle. Some new things that are a little bit different from the old CAM process or GSA or fleet drive-through process. So in the past, you were able to, if you needed, for example, 10 vehicles, additional vehicles, you could put that on a single request. In the new process, you have to do one request per vehicle. So if you need 10 different 10.9C SINs, for example, you would need to submit 10 requests for each one of those individual vehicles. If you have any delinquent unpaid bills for your accounts for your BOAC, there will be a banner that'll be displayed at the top of the screen when creating an additional vehicle request, notifying you that you do have delinquent bills, and those will need to be resolved before those requests will be fulfilled. We'll go into a little more detail on that, but just a note that you can still submit a request and it can go through the approval process. It just won't be funded and fulfilled until those delinquent bills are resolved. Bureau level and agency level reviewers, it can be set up multiples of those to do the approvals, up to 2 additional approvers at each of those levels to help manage the workload. Users will have visibility on all requests based on how their profile is scoped. So in the old system, you only could view requests that you individually submitted, even if it was for your customer account or for your BOAC. In the new system, as long as your profile is scoped and set up correctly, you should be able to view all those requests, including ones that are at different levels of approval. There's increased filtering capabilities to help you manage those requests. There's enhanced vehicle options and selection functionality. So when creating that request, you'll be able to select and request the options that you need based on your mission requirements, and other things such as requesting colors or there'll also be a special instructions text box where you can input things such as a delivery location or any other special instructions that you want to relay to your agency approvers or onto your fleet service representative regarding that order. In the old system, there were daily email notifications that were sent out, summaries of changes that occurred with your requests or status of your request for that day. In the new system, there are no daily email notifications that will be sent to the user. One exception to notifications is that there will be a notification sent back to the requester if a request is denied or returned back to their level to make any changes. So overview of the request process and the flow of it. So it starts with the customer initiating the request in GSAFleet.gov for the additional vehicle. The request then goes on to the next level for review based on how your agency has set up their approval hierarchy. So it'll either go to the bureau level or to the agency level for approval. If a request is rejected, or it'll be returned back to the local customer to make any changes or modifications as directed by the agency reviewers. Approved requests will go on to the next level for approval until it's completely approved through the agency, at which point it'll go back to GSA, in which our business management team will review the request, ensure that there's no delinquent bills, and assign purchase funding for that vehicle as needed. Once that vehicle request is finally approved, the FSR will then attempt to fill that request with existing inventory that's on hand, whether that's an early turn-in from another agency or other excess vehicles that might be available. No vehicles are available on hand. They'll go ahead and create the requisition and place the order for that request. Go a little bit over the approval hierarchy here. Again, this is going to be pretty similar to what you've seen if you've worked with the replacement vehicle requests module this fiscal year in GSAFleet.gov. The request starts with the customer fleet manager. It actually can be submitted at any level, so it could be started with the customer fleet manager at the local level, at the bureau level, or the agency level, and then it'll route as needed through the approval hierarchy, going on to the bureau level for approval, the agency level. And once it's finally fully approved through the agency, it'll go to GSA to assign funding for that purchase request. Can also set up alternate approvers for the review process. You can set up to 2 alternate approvers with the bureau level or agency level. So as far as the bureau level and agency level approvers that are set up currently, there is a spreadsheet that's only accessible to GSA Fleet internal users, in which we maintained the approvers that have been provided to us by your agency or bureau. In future state, we plan to have that available within GSAFleet.gov so that you can view and manage that by your agency. But for now, local customers, they can contact their GSA Fleet service representative. They need to find out who their approvers are. And then the bureau and agency level managers, if you need to make any modifications or you want to know who the approvers are currently listed for your agency or bureaus, you can contact us at gsa.fleet.acquisition@gsa.gov. Go over the customer's role in this process. So first step, the customer or whoever is requesting the additional vehicle needs to ensure that they don't have any billing delinquencies or unpaid bills associated with the BOAC that they were requesting the additional vehicle under. If all of that is cleared and taken care of, then they should initiate their additional vehicle request within GSAFleet.gov. Again, the request can be created by the local customer or it can be created by the bureau level manager or the agency level fleet manager. The requester will select their SIN and any mission essential options and colors, and then they'll save and send that request on to the next level for review and approval. Then the agency, once they complete their final approval, it'll go on to GSA for review. The GSA Fleet Service Representative's role in this process, upon approval by the agency and business management for funding, the FSR will review the request, take a look at all the options, the type and the fuel type requested, look to see if there is any available inventory on hand to go ahead and fulfill that request. If not, they'll go ahead with creating a new vehicle requisition. The FSR will also make sure that they maintain frequent communication with the customer on the request status, which again, the request status will be visible to all users that are scoped to view vehicles for that customer. A little overview of the different status indicators that you'll see in the additional vehicle request module. So as the request goes through different levels and different stages, these are the statuses that'll be shown. The draft status is a request that has been started but not yet submitted or sent forward for approval. The bureau review level, that is a request that has been sent forward from the requester to the bureau to review and send forward as approved, or we send back to the local level for to make any changes. And it's the same for the agency review, just at the agency level, they'll review it and send forward as final approved or send back to the requester to make any changes. The pending GSA approval status, this means it's been fully approved by the agency and it is now with GSA business management to review the request. They're looking to assign funding to actually purchase the vehicle. Once that funding is assigned, the FSR will attempt to fulfill that inventory or fulfill that request with existing inventory, or they'll go on to making the request. So once business management has assigned funding, that request will change to approved it at the FSR, and the FSR will take it from there. If they do fill it with existing inventory, the status will change to filled with inventory, or they'll go ahead and the FSR will go ahead and create a requisition, at which point the status will change to requisition created. And that means the requisition has been built and submitted and a order is pending for that vehicle request. The other two statuses, if a request needs to be sent back to the local customer, it'll be in return status. Or if the request is denied by the agency and they don't plan to going ahead and continuing with that request, they'll can cancel it and put it in canceled status. Or if there's another reason for the request no longer to be valid, it'll go to canceled. Few things to highlight in this process. The additional vehicle requests are not guaranteed. They are requests. So they are not requisitions, they are not orders, and they are subject to the agency policy and agency guidance, as well as getting approved by your bureau and agency fleet managers. They're also subject to GSA having funding assigned to purchase that vehicle, as well as the vehicle requested being open on contract to place that actual order. Users also need to make sure that they have a long-term need for this additional vehicle request. This request process should not be utilized for any short-term needs. If you have short-term leasing needs for vehicles, please reach out to our short-term rental program where they can help you obtain a short-term rental vehicle. Ensure that there are no billing delinquencies for the BOAC that is requesting the vehicle. If there are any delinquent bills, there'll be a red banner that'll be displayed at the top of the screen when creating that request, indicating that you have a bill that's unpaid in over 90 days. That process, Simeon will highlight that and show you what that looks like here in the demo. Note that the vehicle request can continue to be submitted and sent through the approval process, but it will not be funded by business management until those delinquencies are resolved. It's important to familiarize yourself with the agency guidance on which vehicles your agency has determined you can lease, which options you can select, and other pertinent details. Also familiarize yourself with the Just Browsing feature within GSAFleet.gov, in which you can view vehicles and options that are available and open on contract for ordering. You can also take a look at the VAT list or the the VAL list, the vehicle availability listing, in order to see vehicles that are open on contract and pending closing dates for those vehicles. Now I'm going to pass it over to Simeon, who's going to take us through a short demo of what the additional vehicle request process looks like here. And Simeon, I will go ahead and stop sharing so that you can share your screen.
Thanks, Chris, and good afternoon, everyone. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. Okay, so as Chris mentioned, we're now going to take a look at how requesting an additional vehicle looks like in GSAFleet.gov. So to get to the new additional vehicle functionality, you are going to scroll down on the main page of GSAFleet.gov. And once you get to fleet offerings, you're going to click on lease vehicles, which is the same tile that you usually click on to request a replacement vehicle. And you'll notice that now, in addition to being able to request a replacement vehicle, you'll also now have an option to request an additional vehicle. And this is where you're going to go into request new additional vehicles, as well as to manage your additional requests. So we'll go ahead and click Start here. And this is going to take us to the initial page for the additional vehicle requests. And as you probably noticed, this looks very similar to what the replacement requests look like, where at the top we have a section with different filters available. And we also have a table here down below, which by default is blank, but just like on the replacement side, once we select at least one filter from the section above, we are going to be able to start and populate some results into that table. And also at the very top right here, we have the create a new request button, which is where we're going to go in a few minutes to start creating a new request. So just quickly to go over some of the filters available here. The first section here we have is the leasing organization, and this is where you're going to find the leasing agency and the leasing bureau. Now these are going to be scoped, based on your permissions and your agency. So you're going to have your agency available here, as well as a bureau or bureaus that you're scoped to. And also you're going to have the BOAC filter here and the customer POC email. Now in the second section, we have the leasing account filter. So we have the FSR email filter here for searching, and this is a type ahead. search where you can start typing the FSR's name, and after you enter at least 3 characters, it's going to populate some results. We also have the GSA zone search available here, and the GSA FMC search as well. We also have the legacy customer number and the customer account number. And then the following section, we have the request management search filter. So we have the request status, which is what you'll be able to use to find requests if you're looking for requests in a particular status. For example, if you're interested in pulling up the requests or the agency headquarters review stage, you can select the agency review filter, and that's going to populate the table based on that. Or, if you're looking at the bureau review, you can select that here as well. We also have a request type filter available here, and the 3 options that we have available are expansion of mission, replacing agency owned vehicle, and replacing commercial leases. And we have the requested SIN available here as well, and this is going to pull up the requests based on the SIN that the person is requesting for their additional vehicle. We also have the additional request ID search here, which is where you'll be able to use the system generated additional request ID, which is the identifier for each request. So you'll be able to enter that in to pull up a specific additional request that you may be looking for. And last one we have here is the submitter email search, and this is going to be an email filter as well. So just to show you what it looks like when you select at least one value here. And for the purposes of the demo, we're going to be using this fictitious agency 22. So let's say we wanted to search for all of the requests, at all levels that have been put in for this agency. We can just select it and then click search, and that's going to populate the table. And just like on the replacement sides, we also have this text entry filter available where you can start typing a result in. It's going to start narrowing down the results that are available for us here. So for example, I put in SIN 106 here, and then that narrowed down our results to just SIN 106. So we're going to go ahead. Well, actually, one more thing I'll highlight here is that also you're going to be able to generate a report based on your selections here. So you'll be able to click export search results, and then that's going to generate an Excel file, and that will be emailed to you by the system. So we're going to go ahead and look at what it looks like to create a new request. So as Chris mentioned, the users at various levels are able to create an additional vehicle request. So they can be created either at the local fleet manager level, the bureau fleet manager level, or the headquarter fleet manager level. So we're going to click create a new request, and that's going to take us to the first step of the process, which is to select the customer account that you'd like to associate with this request. And you'll notice here that we have a few different ways to find the customer account that you'd like to select for the request. So they can be selected by the agency, the bureau. You can also search by BOAC, customer POC email, the FSR email, the GSA fleet zone, the GSA FMC, or the customer account number. And then also you have the option to use the legacy customer number here as well. So once we do make a selection here, we'll be able to pull up the customer accounts that are available in scope to us. So in this example, we're using agency 22, so we'll click search, and there is just one customer account there. So you'll see here the table for the customer account populates some information that should help you identify, if this is the right customer account to use for your additional requests. So It's going to show you the customer account number, the customer account name, the BOAC, and it's also going to show the delinquent account status. And this is something that Chris mentioned in the presentation. And this is just a yes or no flag, and it's going to display a yes when the BOAC that's tied to the account has delinquencies that are more than 90 days past due for GSA fleet bills. And then, as Chris mentioned, later on in the process, if the account that is selected does have delinquent bills, there's going to be a that's going to highlight that just to make sure that the customer is aware and that they're able to work with their FSR to resolve the delinquencies. And also there are a couple of other fields available here. If we click on this expanded view here, so it's also going to display the address for the account, and it's going to show the legacy customer number, the FMC, and the FSR for this account. So once we're done selecting the customer account that would like to create a request for, we're going to click the select button here. And that's going to take us to the initial page of the additional request vehicle details. So for a lot of you, this is going to look very familiar. This process is pretty close to the replacement vehicle request. So at the top, we have this header section that's going to display some of the information that's linked to the customer account. And one important thing to see here is that if for some reason you realize that you'd like to actually select a different customer account, you have the option to do so by clicking this hyperlinked change customer account number here. So if you click that, that's going to take you back to the customer account selection screen. And here you'll be able to select a different account. So since we only have one account available to us here, we'll go ahead and proceed with this one. So the first thing to do will be to select the reason for the additional vehicle request. And this is actually similar to the way it was in drive-thru. So you'll be able to select if you're ordering the additional due to expansion of mission, or if you're replacing an agency-owned vehicle, or if you're replacing a commercial lease. So this will be one of the selections that are mandatory to make to proceed. Also, if we were using an agency that had an agency guidance document available, we'd be able to click on this agency guidance button here, and the browser would download the agency document and then would be able to see that. And then also we have the activity tracker here available to us. So since we haven't really had any actions on this request, nothing's showing up. But if you do post a comment and then when the request moves through the workflow, there's going to be records there that you can access. So we'll go ahead, click on select expansion of mission, and we'll also have to check off the statement here that essentially is just acknowledging that this additional vehicle request is for a long-term need, and it's not for a short-term need that could be addressed with a short-term rental instead. Now, similar to the replacement request, there's also a garage address section here that we'll also need to fill out partially to proceed. So just like in the replacements, not all of these fields are mandatory. So the mandatory fields to provide here are the country, the state, and also the postal code. So as long as you have those fields filled out, you'll be able to proceed. Also, just like on the replacement side, if you do need to provide some information on the towing capacity for a vehicle, you have the option to do so by clicking yes here for this question about towing. By default, it's set to no, but if you do click yes, you'll get this pop-up here where you're able to provide the towing weight that you need for your vehicle. And then you also have the ability to specify the units of measurement. So by default, it's set to pounds, but If you'd like to provide them in the metric system, you can switch to kilograms here. So the next section is going to be selecting the standard item number for your vehicle. So just like in the replacements, you have a couple of ways to do that. So you can either click on one of these tiles below here. So for example, if you wanted a 4x4 light truck, you could click on that tile. And then it will expand here and it's going to pull in the available SINs for the 4x4 light truck category. Alternatively, you can also type a SIN into this box here. So for example, if we're looking at a SIN 55, we could type that in here and select that, and then we will just have to click next. And then that's going to take us to the second page of the vehicle details. So you'll see here the header is now showing us that same information was showing before associated with the customer account. And we also now have a section for the information that we provided earlier on the previous page. So it's going to show us the selected SIN, the garage address, and the projected towing weight. And then one thing I'll mention here too is we're using a customer account that does not have delinquencies. So that error message that Chris mentioned in the presentation is not being shown. But if we were to be using an account that does have delinquent account status, there would be a red banner at the top here, and it would display a message that this BOAG has bills that are over 90 days past due. And then the rest of this page is actually very similar to the replacements. It's going to show us the minimum standards for the SIN. So everything for SIN 55 will be shown here. And then also the following section is going to allow you to select options and also provide any comments for options if you'd like to do that. So and it works the same way as it does for the replacement. So for example, if you did want to add any specific comments to your options, you could enter a comment here, and then you'll get a prompt where you're able to put in a comment for your option, and then that comment is going to get saved, and then later the following reviewers will be able to see it, and then the FSR will also be able to see it when they're doing a review before creating a requisition. So if it's something that you'd like to provide additional context for your option selections, it's definitely a field that can be very useful. And if you do want to edit the option comments, you can click on edit here. Or if you'd like to delete the option comment, you can click delete, and then that's going to remove the comment from the option. So once we're done selecting the options here, we can go ahead and move on to the next section of the request. So we'll go ahead and click the next button. And that's going to take us to the third page of the request details. So we'll still be seeing the same information we saw on the earlier pages. And then also now we're going to see the selected options that we picked previously. And then it's also going to show us the comments for those options as well if we put any in. And just like on the replacement side, there's going to be a supplementary information section. And this is where there are going to be things like the specific make and model requirements. So by default, it's set to no. But if we did want to request a specific vehicle make or model, for example, if a law enforcement agency needs it for fleet diversity, they might want to specify a model. So we'll, for example, put a F-150 here. And then just like on the replacement, if a specific make and model are requested, there is going to be a need to provide a make and model justification for that. So we'll go ahead and upload a justification for that. And to be able to move forward, you also need to select a make and model justification category for the file upload. So once we do upload a file, just like on the replacement request, you're going to be able to see the files that have been uploaded, and it's going to display the category. And then also you'll be able to access it by clicking on the document hyperlink here. So once you click on it, the browser is going to download this file for you. It's being a little bit slow here. And the next section is the special instructions section. So this works the same way as it does in the replacements too. So this is going to be where you're able to provide any additional information that's relevant to your order. So for example, maybe there is a specific color that you need to have for this vehicle, or if the vehicle needs to go to a certain delivery location, you'll be able to do that here as well. So for example, we'll say here color black required. And then that's going to be saved with your request here. So once we're finished with selecting our options and uploading documents, we can go ahead and check off the box here for the ISO 141 statement, which is the same as it is on the replacement vehicle section. And then at this point, we're going to be able to submit our request up for approval to the next level, which like Chris mentioned, is going to be dependent on how your agency is set up. So, for example, we might have some agencies where it's going to go from the local fleet manager to the bureau fleet manager and then to the agency fleet manager. But we also do have some customers, who may not have an agency fleet manager. So their requests might go directly from the local fleet manager to GSA business management to review for funding. And then also the chain of the workflow will depend on who is creating the request. So if the bureau manager is creating the request, then it's going to go up to the agency fleet manager directly after that. But for example, if a agency headquarters fleet manager is creating the request, then it's going to go directly from the agency fleet manager to GSA business management. So we'll go ahead and send this request up. So once we click submit, you're going to see this green success banner at the top here, and that's going to show you the request ID number. And we'll also be able to search for a new request that we just submitted. So we'll go ahead and enter that additional request ID here. And that's going to bring it up for us here. So you'll see that the way that this agency is set up, it's the agency headquarters review is the next stage. So it went to the agency review request status. And then on this table too, you'll see the information for this particular request. So now we're going to be looking at this request as an agency headquarters fleet manager, which actually looks identical to what the bureau fleet manager would be seeing in this case as well. So we'll go ahead and open the request here. And you'll see here that we're also getting the same header information at the top. And now it's showing us that the request is at the agency review level. And it's also showing us the information associated with this customer account. We're also going to be able to see the activity tracker by clicking on activity and comments. So now we can see that the transaction kind of was recorded from the request went from draft status to the agency review status, and that the request is being filled with SIN 55. And it's also going to capture the date and time of the request, as well as the person who submitted it here. And then as either the local bureau or agency reviewer will have the ability to post a comment here. So we can just add a comment here, and that's going to be added to the activity tracker as well. So below that, as an agency or a bureau reviewer, you still have the ability to download agency guidance if it is available. and you'll be able to see the selected SIN as well as the garage address that was entered and the towing information here. You'll also see the selected reason for the additional request, and you'll see the checkbox with the statement certifying that this is a long-term vehicle need. And below that, you'll also see the section on the selected options. So this is going to show us the options that were selected by the submitter, and it's going to show us the supplementary information section. So we'll see the make and model here that were requested, and we'll be able to see and access the documentation that was uploaded to the request. And also right below, we'll be able to see any special instructions that were entered in. So as the agency or the bureau approver, you're going to have a few options here that you'll be able to do for the request. So, if you would like to get back to the request at the later point, you have the ability to do that by clicking the return to search, and that's going to take you back, to the search menu here. And then the other options that you have are going to be either to submit this request up for approval to the next level, which in this case is going to be submitting it to GSA to be reviewed for funding, or we also have the option to return the request to the submitter. And then if you do want to return the request to the submitter, for example, if you'd like them to change the SIN or maybe add any other documentation, you can do that. And when you click on the button, there is going to be a mandatory comment that you'll have to enter, and you'll be able to, do that here in this box. So we can enter a comment here, and then if you click return request, that's going to return the request back to the submitter. So we'll go ahead and do that here, and then we'll be taken back to the search page. Now, you're going to see that now this request is back in the return status. So this is where you'll be able to return it to the original submitter, and they're also going to get an email notification that their request has been returned, that they should take an action at the earliest convenience. So once they're able to get to it, they're going to open the request, and then they'll be able to make any necessary changes. So for the demo purposes, we're going to go ahead and resubmit it up. So now this request is back at the agency review status. So now we'll go ahead and submit this request up for approval. And you'll see that now you're getting the success banner at the top again. And now if you look at the request, you will see that now the request is in the status of pending GSA approval. So as Chris mentioned, this is the status that is the next status after the request goes through all of the internal agency reviews. And this is going to be the first status that GSA, where the request is with GSA and it's undergoing funding review by GSA Fleet Business Management Team. And then once the request does get approved for funding by GSA Business Management, the next status for that would be approved at FSR. So this covers the portion for creating a request by the customer. So I'm actually going to go ahead and turn it back over to Amber and Chris.
Thanks, Simeon. And we'll allow just a moment for Chris to pull up the presentation again. But we're going to next cover some helpful tips and resources. Okay. Thanks, Chris. Yeah. So first, for some helpful tips, we recommend that you familiarize yourself with the new GSAFleet.gov functionality, and attending the session today is helping with that. And then we recommend that all users that will be involved with either requesting or approving additional vehicle requests attend at least one of the desktop workshop sessions, the first of which you're attending today. And then we'll have a follow-up next week. We recommend that local customers work closely with their FSR on mission and vehicle requirements. And also when discussing your additional vehicle request and giving your FSR a heads up, just have those conversations to ensure that there are no billing delinquencies within the requesting BOAC so that that can be all clear and your request will be able to move through and be fulfilled. We recommend that you review and be familiar with your agency's guidance that's provided by your agency headquarters. And then also review the AFE product guide and the FY25 rate bulletin. Since there are no notifications as things move to the next level, we do ask that you check GSAFleet.gov daily for any requests that are at your level awaiting approval. And that you review and approve the additional vehicle request as soon as they reach your level so they can keep moving through the approval process. And then when reviewing, creating and reviewing, you can attach pertinent supporting documents to the vehicle request that can be reviewed at all levels and by your FSR, as well as posting and reviewing the comments that have been added through the process. So next, I'm just going to highlight some helpful resources that many of you are probably already familiar with from requesting your replacement vehicles. And then with the GSAFleet.gov vehicle availability listing, hopefully most of you have already signed up and you received the emails, the VAL emails. But you can also pull it up by going to the offerings menu, selecting fleet offerings, and then clicking on view vehicle availability listings on the right-hand side of the screen. And this is where you'll be able to view available SINs, descriptions, makes and models, minimum requirements, and the contract open and closeout dates for a particular vehicle type. So next, another feature that's really helpful is the GSAFleet.gov just browsing feature. And this is where you can go if you're not actually looking to create an order, like if you're a purchasing customer, but it's a way for you to go in and be able to see vehicles that are available, minimum requirements, and option availability. And so you can find this by going to the offerings menu, selecting fleet offerings, and then you can click on the just browsing tile. And then here, just as with the VAL, you can either search by a particular SIN or vehicle type, and you'll be able to see all the pertinent information. So next slide, just wanted to highlight the GSAFleet.gov resources tab. This is another very helpful place to find information. You can find step-by-step user guides and video tutorials. Right now, we are working to finalize the how to request an additional leased vehicle user guide. And once that is finalized, it will be posted under the resources tab. You can also review an overview of GSA Fleet, locate different training opportunities that are upcoming, find information on, and also a glove box with information that drivers need when operating a leased vehicle. So tons of helpful information there. And then the next slide, just wanted to highlight the desktop workshop schedule for these sessions, the first of which you are attending right now. And then we'll be offering a repeat session next week on July 1st at 11 a.m. Eastern. So we do encourage you, if you'd like to attend again and watch another demo, that would be helpful. And we'll also be sharing, you'll be able to access the slides as well as a recording of the session. And then with that, that is all we had for you today. So we just wanted to thank you for attending. And if you have any questions, you can reach our team at gsa.fleet.acquisition@gsa.gov. And a member of our team would be happy to answer any questions you have. And now I believe we're going to open it up for any questions that have been typed into the Q&A box.
All right, thanks, Amber. So I'll answer one here. There was a question about viewing the vehicle purchase price when doing such things such as a cost analysis with a purchase versus leased vehicle. Yes, that can be viewed in the just browsing feature. You can also add your options and see what the purchase price is going to be if you were to do an agency purchase with those options. Taking a look through these other questions here. Doesn't look like we have any other. Oh, here comes one. There's a question regarding training for short-term rentals. Yes, there's information and training that's available on the short-term rentals section of the GSA.gov site, and we can get that link posted here where you can get additional information. That would be for short-term rentals up to 120 days generally for those types of vehicles. I have a question about when this feature is going live. So the plan is that it will be live for you to start submitting your additional vehicle request starting Monday, this coming Monday. So be on the lookout for that.
There's a question that came in about if you're ordering 7 vehicles, will you have to do 7 separate requests? And the answer is for right now, yes. That is something that we can look towards in the future, but for right now, it will be 1 request per vehicle for MVP. And then we hope to have the step-by-step user guide available hopefully next week. It'll be available. We're working on trying to finalize it now.
I think I'm off mute now. Okay. There was a question regarding adding percentage to vehicle requests. There isn't a percentage that's added particularly to leased requests. There is a fee that's charged for purchase requests. But if you want additional information on any changes to pricing, please contact your FSR for that information. So question in here regarding pricing for unavailable SINs, why that isn't available. That's because we don't have a contract open for those vehicles, so we don't know what the pricing is. We have to have an open contract in order to provide what the pricing would be. So that's why we can't show pricing for SINs that aren't available right now. And one of my colleagues just wanted to be added regarding the pricing for leased vehicles. You can view the leasing rates bulletin on the GSA.gov website. So that's another place to view that. Still seeing some questions come in. Some of them we're answering, getting answers typed up for him here. If you have any additional questions, please go ahead and submit them here. Question on, again, on where you can view vehicle offerings. So you can view that within GSAFleet.gov in the just browsing feature. You can also, under fleet offerings section of GSAFleet.gov, you can find what's called the VAL list or the vehicle availability listing. That when you click on that link, it'll show you all vehicles that are open under contract for ordering, specific makes and models for each SIN, and the anticipated closing out date for that contract. Please keep in mind with those closing out dates that they are subject to change. For example, if a supplier reaches their maximum number of vehicles that they can produce for that year or for that time frame, then that contract can close out early. So please get your additional vehicle requests in and approved as soon as possible. Looks like for now, the time being, we've cleared out all the Q&A. If you have any additional ones, please get those in here. We'll give it a few minutes, see if anything new comes up. As a reminder, this training will be presented again on July 1st next week. It'll be the same training. There will also be recordings and additional materials that we'll release regarding this training. But if you have anybody else that needs to attend this or wasn't able to attend today, please let them know about registering for the session on July 1st.